Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Membership Spotlight for the NSA Carolinas today. I have none other than the talented, handsome, and amazing Dr. Kevin Snyder. Round of applause.
Hey, good to be with you. Hey, everybody.
I'm glad you're here, Kevin. Kevin has really been influential in my own speaking career. Just this year, I participated in the NSA Carolinas Academy, even though I've been speaking professionally for years. I feel like it's always good to get re-grounded and go back to the basics. And Kevin knows all about this. He has a book about it, and he actually is a coach of speakers. So Kevin, tell us all the different facets of your speaking business, because it's not just you on stage, although that's the biggest part. What else are you doing with your speaking?
Speaking is kind of the lion's share of what my day-to-day is, and I'm real passionate about that. And of course, speaking is kind of broad. Mostly I do keynotes. I do keynotes, but if a company said, hey, we want you to come in and do some leadership training for us, whether it's a 1 or 2 hour session or maybe a half day, that's speaking too. I call that more workshop facilitation. But I love helping people achieve goals, identify the gaps where they are, where they want to be, and then working backward to achieve that. So speaking is definitely the lion's share of what I do. And then, a couple of years ago, wrote a book called Paid to Speak, just to kind of help people learn at least how I got into speaking in a process. And that kind of organically grew into a lot of people asking me to coach them. And so now I do some speaker coaching as well. But and I love that too. I love helping speakers, because if they've got a great message, then if I can help them share that, then another aspect of the speaking is through helping other speakers.
Yeah. So that is a great mission in life, right? Is to help people realize their potential. So that's fantastic. Right. Well, you took us through the Paid to Speak process in the Academy this year. And I'm going to tell you, the book is fantastic. And Kevin edifies it with like all these audios that you can listen to, right? And people can hear your story. Talk a little bit about how you put that program together, because I think people should go out immediately. If you're thinking about speaking for your career, or you're already a member, but you need to get back to basics, you need to get up with us about Kevin's book and get that taken care of. So tell us about the book a little bit more.
Gosh, the Academy was awesome. You're right. We did it last fall, and I myself learned things by co-teaching it with Stan Phelps, our Presidente Electe. Every time I coach somebody, or every time I talk about, even in this conversation, I guarantee you, I'm going to take away some things or an insight from you that I probably didn't have beforehand. That's what I love about talking about speaking and being surrounded by other speakers. This is not a one-size-fits-all business. There's different types of speaking. There are different types of speakers, hundreds of different industries. The way I look at it is every single day, there are opportunities to speak. We just got to find who those people are and be sure that we know the kind of problem that we want to help them solve. There are companies and organizations looking for problem solvers constantly. So we get to help people through speaking solve problems. And speaking can also lead into coaching. It can lead into consulting, training. So, it's really an exciting industry that when I first started, and this kind of answers your question, Nicole, I had no clue what I was doing when I first started. And I think that's probably, any honest speaker probably would say that. They had this, this vision, or maybe they watched a great speaker and they're like, I want to do that. Oh my gosh, that was amazing, right?
That's right.
And then they probably watched another speaker who, guess what, was like,
not so hot.
Wait, I could do that. Right. You probably had a similar experience, maybe? You watched a great one, then maybe not so great. Yeah. Yeah. And so for me, I used to, my career was in higher education. I always visioned being a dean of students, because the dean of students, when I was in college as a struggling freshman, saved me dropping out of college on multiple times.
That's fantastic.
And I had a turning point, and I kind of write about this in the book as well, because I struggled with depression. I didn't fit in. My first year in college, I was miserable. I studied marine biology at UNC Wilmington. And UNC Wilmington was a great a great place for me. But that first year for me was just so tough. I was in a long distance relationship. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence. I kept my bags packed literally the whole first month.
Oh my word.
Yeah. And of course, I never told my parents that, but my roommate and I had nothing in common except the fact that we like to play video games. And NHL hockey was the only time that we would ever talk because we were playing video games together. But I just didn't feel like I fit in. And so the dean of students told me this could be a really long story, so I'll try to keep it short, but I had to go to the dean's office to have them sign my withdrawal paperwork for dropping out of college.
Oh my word.
He looked at me, and I remember his name was Dean Terry. Well, I called him Dean Terry. And Dean Terry looked at me and said, Kevin, I am required to sign this, but I don't want to for you. Will you give us just another few weeks? Let us help you fit. How can we help you? And just the fact that an administrator cared made me feel like, wow, somebody notices me, right?
Right.
And so that began the process. And that was kind of toward the end of the first entire semester. I mean, so for those months up to that, I just was like, and catch this, Nicole, I made a 4.0 my first year.
Oh,
so it wasn't that I struggled academically. I struggled interpersonally. And most of my struggles were up here.
Yeah.
So after my first semester, I decided, okay, I need to give this another shot, but I need to do things differently. And so I got back to campus after that first semester after Christmas break, and I just got more involved on campus, started joining a couple organizations. And that really for me was the connection that I had to higher ed. And so by the time that I was a sophomore, I was already thinking I wanted to work at a college campus. I just didn't know that there was a career called student affairs.
Right.
So I stuck with my marine biology degree. And by the time that I was a senior, I was given campus tours. I was working for admissions. I loved talking about how great college was, right? And then my fraternity came to me and said, hey, would you like to be a consultant for us, travel the country, talking, helping our chapters for my fraternity, which was Delta Tau Delta? I said, that sounds fun, right? It didn't pay me much, but that was my entry point because I knew that, okay, I want to find out where do I want to go for grad school. By that time I knew about higher ed as kind of a career like student affairs. And I'll give me another 20 seconds and I'll shut up. But I knew I was going to go back for my master's degree. So that job allowed me to travel to check out different graduate programs. And part of that job was also required me to speak and do a presentation at every chapter I was visiting. And I hated it. I hated speaking. I hated it. But when you do something long enough, you know what? You get better at it. And I wish I would have joined Toastmasters. I wish I would have joined NSA back then, because trust me, my speaking would have gone leaps and bounds quicker and accelerated if I actually worked on my speaking in that job.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's a horse of background for you, but anyway.
Yeah, I think people need to understand our backgrounds, because it's not like speaking, like, remember when we were in high school? Okay, it was a longer time ago for me than it is you, but back in high school, there were like certain things that you were going to do if you were a female. For me, it was like, are you going to be a nurse? Are you going to be a teacher? Are you going to be a housewife? What are you going to be? And now, I mean, there's so many nuances of what you can be. And you know what? Still, I don't think they say, do you want to be a professionally paid speaker when you grow up? I don't think that's on the list even yet. So I think that this is one of those careers where you have to kind of stumble your way into it. And then you wake up one day. And so then you did join the NSA Carolinas at some point. So tell us your journey to that.
So I joined NSA because I finally got real serious about my speaking. I didn't realize that there are two types of speakers: the speakers that want to speak for fun, kind of like as a hobby. And that's okay. If that's you, and, because I think people do need to kind of dabble and figure it out and really identify the clarity. Do they really want to treat this like a business? Because if they decide that this is what they want to do full time, then they're going to have to really start treating it like a business. And I know, that sounds kind of like abstract. Like, well, what does that mean? Well, you are now a business owner who speaks. So the running the business side of speaking is usually, that's not what anybody would know. And that's why I wrote Paid to Speak. That's also why I wanted to learn more about the, not just crafting a great speech, because that kind of, if you're a professional speaker, the assumption that you have a great speech is that. It's how do you run a business of speaking, right? Or coaching or training. And so that's why I joined NSA, because I wanted to surround myself with what I would call master's level content, because we do workshops, we do trainings at the national, or at the NSA Carolinas level, but also the national level. So there's a lot of resources with NSA. And another thing too that I'll say is you're going to meet people you would not have met otherwise. So if somebody's really serious about either wanting to take this to the next level and beyond, or they know that they've got something inside them and they're not really sure what it is, like with speaking, but they know something's there, then surround yourself with people who can show you the way, or at least give you some guidance. And NSA Carolina, I mean, we're blessed. We're so fortunate that we've got so many Hall of Fame speakers, CSPs. We've got Cavett Award winners, Mike Frank, Lenora Billings Harris, Al Walker. I mean, blah, blah. We got so many people in our chapter who have been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
That's right.
And they're still involved. So
yeah,
there's
and
such
you just did an interview with Mike Frank, right?
The guy's literally a living legend, and was gracious enough to give me about 30 minutes of his time. And we did an interview that we're going to post for the members. I mean, where else could I have done that? I mean, Mike, if I wasn't involved with NSA, Mike probably still would have done it, and he probably would have charged me 10 grand,
That's exactly
or a
right.
coaching call.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So really exciting. So you mentioned the national level. So, the people that are watching this, they're members of the NSA Carolinas, but I've been to the national meeting 3 times. That's the only times I could make it. I've been out there 3 times. And to me, it was like drinking from a water hose. But the most valuable thing, like you said, were the people you meet. And we all know who Jim Rohn is. If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, go look it up. But anyways, Jim Rohn says that, you are the product of the 5 people you hang around with most. And so you mentioned that you hang around with great speakers. You're going to turn into a great speaker. So talk a little bit about your national experience for a moment.
Absolutely. The national conferences is one of many ways to get engaged. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Valda Ford, one of our members, and Meredith Oliver are both on the board for the National Speakers Association. Like, how cool is that? So there's opportunities to get involved at the national level, but from my personal national experience, that's something I'm interested in doing down the road. If I can serve and provide value for this association, if they want me to, I would be honored to be involved and to better advance it and support it. But pretty much I've just attended conferences, and I've been taking, and this NSA Carolinas. Yeah. And of course, I pay for that, right? I mean, conferences aren't, they're an investment. There's so many investments that we need to make as professional speakers, even part-time speakers. You're gonna have to make investments in this. If you're expecting to get paid, and guess what? We have the opportunity of being paid very lucratively in this business if we get to that point, and it takes a lot of work to get there, but and that's not why we do it either. That's just like almost a byproduct. That's why I enjoy kind of giving back to NSA Carolinas, is because I feel like, okay, if I'm taking at the national level by attending conferences, and I'm trying to find ways, where I can fit and get involved there. I've attended several of the national conferences like you, and yeah, you're right. It's like, wow, so much information. So I look forward to seeing where this can go, because I think I've been involved with NSA for maybe 3 to 4 years only.
Right. Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, why didn't I join when I actually resigned my day job to do speaking full time? I should have done that back in 2012.
That's right. And here's the thing, I'll put in a shameless plug, because I'm the membership chair. So if you're watching this and you're not a member, you can join the NSA between now and June 30th for $165. Okay, y'all. And if you do that, you will get the academy that Kevin led as part of that. It is the best deal on the planet. So reach out to Nicole at vibrantcoaching.com and I will get you hooked up. All right. So I want to ask you this. What advice do you have for someone who wants to become a professionally paid speaker? I mean, your book is full of advice, but what's the one thing that you would share with them, the special thing?
Just one thing, huh? No, let me give you 2 things. That's all right. I'll make them short. How about that?
Okay.
Number one, you have to Three things. Number one, this is not a one size fits all.
Right.
Okay. So there's different ways of doing it. Number two, the way that I do it has a process to it. I don't just get up to speak. Now, I have 4 presentations next week. Each one of them are a little bit unique, and I'm preparing differently. How I got them all came from different ways. What I'm getting paid is unique in 2 of them. Point is, this sometimes is not a, things can kind of happen in interesting ways, and how people hear about you and things like that. But know that there is a process to this. That's the key. There is like building a home. You need to have a blueprint. Even if you have this great vision in your mind and it's so clear, which it needs to be, you're still going to have to follow a blueprint or a model. And the third thing, I know you only asked for one, but the third thing would be again, it's not just surrounding yourself by people who are better than you in a way that you can, but you want to identify. I always say to my coaching clients, identify 3 different speakers that you want to be like. Just 3, not 10, not just 1, but find 3 people that you want to be like. Study everything about them.
Oh, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. Okay, I love that. All right. And so you're a leader in NSA Carolinas, and that's, you said earlier, because I've gotten so much from national, so much from the actual NSA Carolinas people, all these legends that we get to hang out with when we have our meetings. But you have received, now you're giving back. Well, what's the payoff of giving back? Because you are our current program chair, as well as you put all that time and energy into the academy earlier this year. So tell me about what's the payoff for that? Why get involved with NSA Carolinas? Because we're looking for people to help us in our particular roles.
Right. Well, I think for any organization to kind of even exist, it needs people behind the scenes to make it work. And NSA Carolinas, and we're a nonprofit. I mean, we are a chapter. All of us are volunteers. So that means volunteers need to make it work and do the things required, like what you and I are, what I hope appears like a fun interview is going to require you. And I mean, we've set this up. We've talked a few times in advance. That's going to take several hours of time. Well, somebody's got to do that, right? And so even though we want to provide value for our members, it's like, well, people need to invest that time to do it, because it's going to provide resources that make us all better. Because a lot of things that you do when you're, talking about membership and, as programming chair, I need people from membership to actually show up and take advantage of the workshop content or some of the speaker showcase or anything that we're doing. So, I think it's all about a system that works nicely together, and people have got different roles. I'm thrilled to be in the programming role, because I'm really passionate about, making sure that the content we provide for our members is it's spot on. That's going to help them in their speaking and in their speaking business. So it's a great fit.
That's awesome. All right. So anything else you want to share about your business? Can you tell everybody if they wanted to talk to you about your coaching that you do, or they wanted to find out more about the programs that are coming up, or they wanted to participate, don't miss this, the March 30th speaker showcase. They would need to get up with you about that. We had one earlier in February, and it was fantastic. Did we have 5 or 6 people speak?
Believe we had 5.
5 people
yeah,
speak.
Yep.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was our first one. I know that we've had other speaker spotlights in the past in different styles and flavors, but this is a special event that I'd love for us to keep. Frequency wise, I don't know if we'll do it quarterly or, but it's an opportunity. So depending on people might be watching this, just look for the next upcoming showcase or speaker showcase. And if I can, if you're interested, just reach out to me. My email is real simple. It's kevin@kevincsnyder.com. Just spell Snyder right, like the pretzel. Oh. Otherwise, it goes to some guy in Georgia. I say that in my programs, and people always laugh at that. They're like, "Yeah, this guy hates me." He's like, who are you? You know?
That's right. Well, I'm sure that he's getting pinged all the time. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And then tell us your website address and we will call it a wrap.
Yep. So I got two websites, one for my own speaking, like for when somebody wants to look and watch my demo videos or look at my programs. So that website is kevincsnyder.com,
Okay.
kevincsnyder.com. And I've got and for folks that are looking to build their speaking business or getting started in it, that's really where I love helping people. And so my speaker coaching website, and I've got some great free resources on that as well. That is paidtospeak.biz.
Okay.
Paidtospeak.biz.
Yeah. And so, you know, if you're wondering, why do I need to go to Kevin's speaking website? I need to build one. Well, here's what I would suggest. You go check out, make Kevin one of the 3 people you're watching closely, and you will learn how to do it right. Okay. All right. So Kevin C. Snyder, it is great to be with the doctor, and I will see you at the next event. We're going to have an event on March 13th. We're going to have Charles Weathers is going to do the business of doing business. You set that up, correct? And then we're going to have a speaker showcase on March 30th. So there's lots going on at NSA Carolinas, and I'm going to bring you another amazing member in my next membership spotlight. Everybody have a good day.